Welcome back. In the previous section, we talked about the semantic HTML and text formatting. In this section, we're going to talk about the semantic layout inside HTML. Remember, we talked about this div element and said that it just groups content and doesn't have any semantic. Well, actually, we have other grouping tags that have meaning, and it's really important to know about. For example, if you go and head over to any website, there's a nav bar at the top of the website. And if you check out the project website that we're going to build at the end of this course series, you can see we have this nav bar at the top. Usually nav bars contain nav links, logo, and other important actions. Remember that when you look at any website, you have to see the structure and the layout of the website. So for example, this is another group. Like there's a big title and a description. This is another group. So another group here, left group, right group. Then we have another big group here. It has two groups, one in left and one in right. So all of these content are groups, but some groups are special, like this nav group, which is a header, or this footer group that is always at the bottom of the website and indicates the end of website. So these are some grouping tags that have meanings. And with the exact same thing, we have container tags for them in HTML. We have div for the group. We have header tag. We should put our header content here. We have nav that we should put or navigation content inside. Usually we would put this navigation tag inside the header because most of the times navigation is part of the header. Then we have footer tag. We have aside tag. This aside is for the sidebar of web pages. For example, in the VS Code, you can see we have a sidebar. And in menu pages, we also have sidebars. And in fact, if you take a look at the reference website, you can see the sidebar here. We also have a main tag that for each page, we should always have one main tag. It's not a rule, you can have many main tags, but it's a good convention to only have one main tag inside each page. So this main tag is the super top level container of your page. And we also have an article tag, which if you have any long content, you should put your stuff inside this article. So let's inspect this reference website and see what's going on here. So this is the body tag that we have. And inside the body, we have this big div. This is a div element. Inside this div, you can see we have the header component, and then we have the nav tag. So in this case, the nav is not inside the header. So this website is a little bit different because navigation actions are inside this sidebar and not at the top. And we have another div, and inside that div, we have another div. You can see this whole group is a section. And we have this side. If I zoom out a bit inside the website, you can see this side is about this sidebar, this right sidebar here. And then we have a main. It could be an article tag, but in this case, it's a main. And then if we go all the way down, I'm gonna find this tag. You can see it's a footer tag. So this is the semantic HTML that we were talking about. Another tag that we have is section. Section is part of one page. If we go back here inside this project, you can see we have a big section here. So this is the hero section. Then we have this about section. We have more info section that has this two columns. And then we have a Q&A section. So you can see these sections are parts or building blocks of a page. And if I try to inspect this website, here you can see it clearly shows how a section is. We have body, we have header. You can see we have header, we have this main tag, and then we have this footer tag. By the way, inside DevTools, if you select any element and if you right click on that, there's an option says scroll into view. So if you click on that, it will scroll the website to put the element inside view. So you can see the footer down here. Then we have this main section. You can see it has all these sections. You can see section says that hero section with a comment. About section, you can see it has this about. Then feature greet is a section. Then this is a section. Let's scroll into this section here. So you can see this section. Then we have this section here. You can see section is the building block of the page, and that's the beauty of section. So we learned about grouping the elements inside HTML. We use div tag if there's no semantic, but if we have semantic, we're going to use header tag, nav or navigation tag, footer tag for footer, aside for sidebar, main for the main stuff inside a page, article if we have a long blog or long content or text, and section for sections and building blocks of a page. Beautiful. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is that why we need these semantic. Don't forget that we are all about answering whys. Why do we need these stuff? Why do we care about semantic? Number one is accessibility. If you write your code in semantic HTML, it will be accessible. And if you don't know what accessibility is, in quick words, think of it as a way that people with disabilities using your website, something like screen readers, try to understand how to describe your page properly. And then it's good for SEO, which is search engine optimization. If you write it in semantic HTML, search engines will better understand your content, and it will help readability of the code. It will be easier to understand and maintain. And lastly, it's professionalism. It just shows that you know what you're doing. All right, so that's it for this section. We learned about semantic HTML. We learned about new HTML tags. In the next section, we're going to talk about images and links. Thanks for watching. See you in the next section.